Okay, this video is going to be on environment variables. So let's go ahead and open up a terminal. And environment variables are useful because we can store data in a variable and then use it later. Okay, so one thing to note here is there are different types of shells, and shells are basically the system that analyzes the input commands that you type in a terminal. Okay, so the echo command echoes whatever you type to standard output. Alright, it does have a special characteristic that it can print out environment variables. Okay, so here the environment variable is user, and to print that out I have to use the $sign. That means whatever I type next is a variable name. So that is a variable name. Alright, and I'm going to echo that out to the terminal. So that's my username. If I log in to the CS server, open a new terminal, SSH lma1 at cs.imdstate.edu. Echo user lma1. Okay, so on this machine, on the CS server, I'm logged in as the user lma1. On my computer, I'm logged in as the user Luke. Alright, but the echo command can print out the value of these variables. So I can say echo, there's an environment variable called home, and that is the path to my home folder. On the CS server, the path to my home folder is /u1/h5/lma1. If I log in to the CS151 instructor account, echo user CS151 echo home /u1/class/CS151. Okay, this is more like what you guys will have, right? Depending on what course you're in. Alright, so these are called environment variables. If you want a full list of your environment variables, env. It prints out all of the environment variables currently configured. The ones in capital letters you should never change. Those are used by the system. If you want to create your own, make sure you use lowercase. Alright. Now, getting back to the shell, we see in the CS151 instructor account, if I say echo shell, this is what program is interpreting the commands that I type in the terminal. Okay, that's what a shell is. So when you hear terminal and shell, they're pretty similar, but they're not quite the same. Shell is the program that interprets everything you type into the command line. Okay, so the shell by default on the CS server is TC shell. Okay, now on my machines I like to use Z shell. So on my local machine I have Z shell installed. Okay, that's the same for my my lma1 account. You can change this if you want. You're allowed to change your shell, and I'll do a different video on that if you want. Personally, I would recommend it to change it to a bash or Z shell. So depending on what shell you're using, you set variables differently. In Z shell, I can create a variable called foo and set that equal to foo. If I say echo, and now I use the $sign to signify it's a variable, foo, it prints out foo. Now I can't do that with TC shell. TC shell I have to say set in let's see, what is it? Set environment what's the name of the variable, foo, and what's the value. Foo, foo. Now I can say echo foo. Okay, so this is one difference between the two different types of shells. There's actually quite a few different types of shells. I strongly recommend changing it to Z shell or bash. Those are the most common ones. Bash is by far the most common. TC shell has some niceties too, but you may or may not use them. But the set environment, where you set a variable, that's pretty much only used in TC shell. So there's some small distinctions between the two of them. So I tend to like to go to the more popular versions. That way your code will run in multiple different places. All right. So when you get used to making commands, they'll work in a lot of different environments instead of just one. All right. So you set the environment variable. Set env is one command. Set env space. What's the name of my variable? Bar, and I want to say bar. If I echo the variable bar, it just prints out the value stored there. I can change it to something else. And echo out bar, and it has changed. So what's the benefit of this? All right, well, sometimes you might save a path. Let's say I want to, on my home computer here, I'm going to make a directory on my desktop, cd desktop. I'm going to make a directory for a class that I might be taking. Let's say it's CS 678, whatever course that might be. All right. So this is where I'm going to put all of my coursework for this class, CS 678. All right. Now, if I want to change directories quickly, I might be somewhere else in the file system. So I might be in root, and if I want to change to this directory quickly, I could store that path in a variable. Okay, so let's go back to our home directory, back to desktop, and we've got CS678, CS678. All right, so let's go in there, print working directory, and we'll see what this path is. This is the absolute path to this location, to this directory. Okay, if I copy that, I can store that in a variable, and I can call this CS678D for directory. So that's the name of my variable. I'm going to set that equal to this path. So echo CS678, and then the D for directory. All right. Now I can use this in any command now. I can change directories whenever I want. So let's change to the home directory real quick, and I can go CD $CS678 directory, and it takes me there because this variable actually contains this path. Okay, so it's as if I typed CD and then this path. Okay, so you can use variables a lot of different ways like that. Alright, so that's good enough for variables.